I'm burnt out. How do I rest? A vacation is not necessarily the answer to that question, folks. Neither is a sabbatical where you cut things off so they're not there for a period of time, then you come back and they're there again. So, how do you rest? This was a question we received from one of you, and I figure why not bring in a business peer, former client, and an esteemed corporate leadership wellness coach, Kayla Maran Lee. Okay, stay tuned.
Welcome to Entrepreneurship is a Marathon, a podcast about how you can grow a profit-producing, purpose-driven business without burnout. We don't need more people starting businesses. We need more people continuing. Each week, we'll deliver the latest and greatest tips, tricks, and strategies for you to revive, grow, and scale your business. Now, here's your host, consultant, professor, and the business defibrillator, Vanessa Zammi.
And we are joined here on this episode with Kayla Maran Lee, corporate leadership wellness coach, right? You're burned out, perhaps. You are saying to yourself, how do I rest? You know, it's all trending like, oh, you should rest. You should rest. Oh my God, I'm burned out. We'll be answering that question here for you on this episode, sharing effective tips and tools on how you can do that. Yes, Kayla Maran Lee has a lot to share with you here this week. But first, for those of you who are new, you may not know what we do here. But for those who are familiar, right, this is the part of the episode where we go into discussing what has been your win of the week. So during the last 7 days, you've experienced entrepreneurship, you've experienced life. And it's very easy to think to yourself, oh yeah, I had this goal, but it didn't work out so well. Yeah, you know, I started the year off strong, and then here we are a month, 2 months, 3 months later, and like, and that is very easy and common to happen in entrepreneurship. And so, however, I know that despite all of that, there's something that you can still be proud of. There's something during the last 7 days that you can still be proud of. And that thing is your win of the week. So what is your win of the week? What is something that it could be something personal? It could be something personal. It could be something business. It could be a combination of both. You know, maybe spending time with your family. Maybe it's getting the lead that you got, maybe referral, whatever it may be. But what has been your win of the week? Type it in the comments. Let's start with our guest. Kayla, what's been your win of the week?
Well, my one of the week has just been being consistent in my practice of gratitude. So in the morning and also in the evening before I go to bed, I just record what I am grateful for. And so setting from the beginning, like setting that tone of like what is good in the world is really, it's transformative and it sets my day up. And then also in the evening time, being able to slow down, turn off all the electronics, all the stuff, and just be with my thoughts and to be with the events of the day and just be grateful and just pick out these little things that happen in the day, whether they're big or small. And so just the habit of gratitude is what is my win.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Fantastic, folks. So what has been your win? Type it in the comments. If you're watching us on YouTube, scroll to the bottom of this video, hit the red subscribe button, and then keep scrolling, and then type in your win of the week. If you're watching us on LinkedIn or Facebook, yes, type in the comments what has been your win of the week. Share it with the world. Let's celebrate with you. If you're listening to us on the podcast, take a moment to reflect. What are you proud of? Maybe it's just that you got up and you're in the car today, right now, whatever it may be. But what are you proud of the last 7 days? My win of the week, you know, because wouldn't it be fair if I just asked you to do your win? I'm not even doing my win, right? That doesn't make sense. So my win of the week. So we have a team management workshop happening tomorrow. So I'm thrilled about that. And getting signups for that has been my win of the week, and really just going to help people shut down their staff nonsense. Yes. Because as we say in the intro to this podcast, right, it's really great that people are starting businesses. Really cool. However, the generational wealth and longevity of your business is really what matters the most for you to really achieve that time freedom and financial freedom. And part of that is with effective leadership, right? Having people in place in your staff and your employee base, either part-time or full-time, who can help you to sustain that business. I'm really excited to go into those effective pillars tomorrow. But that's besides the point. So that's my win of the week. But on to this episode. So we are here with Kayla Maran Lee. Why is Kayla Maran Lee here? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why is Kayla Maran Lee here. Well, Kayla Maran Lee is a Harvard-trained international wellness and creativity coach and executive strategist for high-performing leaders and teams. She helps organizations address their ways of doing and being that interfere with implementing practices for healthy, thriving work cultures. Leaders and teams experience professional accountability, alignment coaching, and creative workshops for becoming joyful, well-balanced, and effective within and outside their organizations. Okay? So, Kayla, my first question to you is, how often do you get this statement or question, I'm burned out, how do I rest? When did you first get this question?
I'm trying to think about when I first got this question. I think I was actually at a wealth building workshop. It was a doctor. And I was talking about a little bit about my experience of taking a sabbatical. And he was like, huh? Like, how do you do that? I'd never be able to do it. And as far as like burnout, probably on a weekly basis, people are saying, I'm burnt out, I'm burnt out. And so it's something that people are aware of, but kind of accept or say like, I can't rest. I could never take that amount of time off work. Or yeah, I'm burnt out. That's how I roll. That's how I live my life.
That is so true. And so you mentioned that you were on a sabbatical at some point. So what could it like, and we're talking about here how, resting does not necessarily mean going on a sabbatical. And so what was your sabbatical experience like? And how did you figure out that, that's not exactly perhaps the key answer to how to rest?
Well, I think in many ways, I think my sabbatical saved my life. And so I burnt out myself. And so I went to school for resiliency, trained in this. And so I was doing all these things to try to, keep myself going, but I was not able to maintain. And so I remember at the end of the year, my boss asking me, like, how likely is it that you're going to come back? I wrote 3%. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that I couldn't continue to stay in that job and be well. And I think something that precipitated that was that my doctor told me, he's like, your job is making you sick. And I felt like I couldn't leave my job because I would be letting people down. And so I got to the end of the year. I was like, I cannot continue doing this. And so I decided to go on a sabbatical. I bought a chair. I was like, okay, I bought a chair. I'm going to sit down. I did not sit down in that chair. Like I actually ended up giving the chair away. And what happened is like, I knew how to work. I knew how to be busy, but I didn't know how to rest. And so it's taken years. And so with resting, it has been a lot of unlearning these habits of constantly being busy. And so, yeah, I can talk more about it, but there's certain reasons why people don't rest. And part of what I do is bringing those reasons to the surface because my why is healing. So the purpose behind rest is to slow down, not to sleep, but to slow down to heal. And so when you begin to rest, that's when the different work comes in. So I work with like high achieving leaders and teams. So they know how to work. But if you ask them, it's like, how do you rest? No clue. They don't know how to rest.
And and you mentioned that part of those habits is the need to stay busy, right? And I see a lot with my clients who are business owners where even if we get to a place where they have all this extra time now because we've gotten to a place where they're efficient, they're productive, their business is operating without them having to be in the store or the restaurant, there's still a level of, oh wait, I'm not doing enough. Oh wait, I can't take a break, right? And so it's getting people to really understand that rest is acceptable. Right? It's like, rest is acceptable. What you're talking about is like rest is acceptable. And there are effective ways to do that. So when we come back from this quick break, right, Kayla Maran Lee will be sharing with us some effective tools and strategies that you can use so that you can properly rest and still get things done at the same time, right? Properly rest while still being high achieving, because ultimately it's like what I always say, folks, if you don't show up, no one else is going to show up for you. Okay. Whether you're doing your business or your job or your work, listen, if you're not able to show up for your family, for your friends, for your goals, no one else is going to hit those goals for you. So it's definitely important to ensure that you are getting the energy boost that you are needing, right? So we're going to effective tips and tools when we come back from the break.
If you're a storefront business owner, salon owner, or brick and mortar shop owner, including a cafe, home decor, furniture, or clothing boutique, then listen up. We have some incredible discounted workshops at vzammy.com for our podcast listeners to help you increase your sales by 50%. If you are looking for more tips on reviving your business, make sure to visit our website, vzammy.com. That's vzamy.com. To register for our upcoming business growth workshop on staff management, financial management, and time management. It's your time to revive, grow, and scale your shop so you can go on that vacation and still have your shop thriving. Visit vzammy.com. That's V for Vanessa, Z for zebra, A for animal, M for money, Y as in yes.com. Visit vzammy.com for more details.
We are back with special guest Kayla Maran Lee. We're talking about how do you rest? Maybe you're burned out, maybe you're about to burn out, but how do you rest? Right before the break, right, we were talking about, Kayla was sharing more about how her experience with her sabbatical and how she realized that wasn't necessarily the solution to resting. And so, Kayla, what are some tools that you can share with our listeners and viewers here today on how they can most effectively rest?
The very first thing is to fail at rest. And so this is what I mean by that. It's this idea of self-awareness, is to say, this is something that I'm not doing. Like, my life is out of balance. And so really having that self-awareness. And so usually when I'm working with clients, the first step is not to try to change. It's to look at where your lack of rest is impacting your life. So usually I'm looking at like the burnout scale, like where do they fall? When you are in the midst of like losing the work-life balance, like if it's a perpetual thing that you're losing, you're experiencing a lot of guilt, you're participating in numbing activities, like overworking as an addiction, drinking too much, those are all signs that you are kind of getting towards this enmeshment phase where burnout is like your phase of life. And so part of a tip is to fail at rest. Another thing is self-awareness. And so getting to a point to decide, like, this is me, and taking responsibility, because people will like, I don't have time. Well, you have PTO, you have time off, you have the weekend. So it's not that you don't have time. There's something deeper. And the reason why I said to begin to take responsibility, because sometimes
you don't want to take the time that you have. Yeah.
Well, part of, they don't want to take the time that they have, but I think that they don't know. And one of the main things that is really difficult for people is the guilt that they feel. Right. So it's just like, I feel so guilty if I stop. What's going to happen if I stop? And so with a lot of my clients, what happens is like, they're very skilled, but they're turning their skill set towards other people and supporting other people. If one of their employees or one of their friends needed something or rested, like, yes, come in, let me support you. And so just like you were talking to people about, like, showing up for their business, showing up for their goals, what I'm teaching people is how to show up for themselves. And so for me, it's just like when I was a caretaker, people would be like, put on the oxygen mask, but nobody tells you how to do it. That's what I do. And so when you're putting that oxygen mask on, you're slowing down, you're breathing, right? And so it's just, and that's why I said, like, it is actually a process. For some people, they can go to a workshop. Other people, they're so enmeshed in working, they don't know who they are apart from their business or apart from their role. So if you take that thing away, they have a crisis. And so you go and you create work somewhere else. So it's important. And I think particularly because of the pandemic, when everything slowed down, a lot of things raised to the surface for people, and it's still there, and people don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, because they didn't address it. And so, and part of it, when you're talking about the different areas of when someone knows that they're burnt out. I remember I was on this, so we had this whole burnout, a group of 6 of us. We go every month and we do this burnout panel. And the last episode we did was on the burnout panel on the decoding the 12 stages of burnout, because there are like 12 stages of burnout. And it's one of those things where people only think about the end stage of burnout, where it's, you're fainted or you're in the hospital or whatever it may be. But there's like all these stages beforehand where that there's something wrong. You may not listen to it, but there's something about you that knows that you need to switch something up. you know, and it's addressing, okay, let's switch it up. Let's take the time to, what Kayla's talking about here, right, is let's take the time to address that issue so that you can then not be burned out, but also effectively rest and ensure that you don't end up in that space again. And a lot of people, what happens as well too, they go through these like yo-yos. It's like, I'm burned out. Oh, but wait, then I took this sabbatical, I took this vacation. Now I'm not burned out again. And then wait, now I'm burned out again. And, you know, part of it is that they're not also implementing the right tools, right, during the day to even, or during the day, during the week, etc., to even think about, okay, how can they most effectively, you know, be their best productive, efficient selves. So anyways, I love that. Okay, so Kayla, we're approaching a couple minutes left here. But what are some, so let's say someone that has that self-awareness, for example, and they're saying, yes, I see that my, exhaustion, and I see my health is going down the drain. I see all this stuff. Then what?
The next thing that I actually suggest that people do is to visit a counselor. And one of the things that a counselor is going to do, they're going to bring you from like this crisis phase all the way up to like where you're, it's like baseline. And what a coach does is bring you up from baseline to thriving. And so I suggest that the next step for people when they begin to develop a self-awareness is to work with someone that's going to process what has happened to them in the past, process the emotions that are keeping them working. It could be from childhood. It can be wanting to have a sense of belonging. So there's a lot of things that go into that. And so that's why I said this idea of healing. So my next step for people is to really to work with a counselor, to read books. And so really getting to a point, especially if you're really burnt out. I mean, burnout could be so bad that you begin to have suicidal ideation. And this is something that's a thing that's happens among doctors a lot. Like there's some research that you can pull that part of their exhaustion leads them to kind of think about, like, you start thinking thoughts like, I'm so tired, I don't want to be here. That is serious. And so when you move down those phases that you talked about, it can get so bad that the first help that you need is medical attention. And so a lot of people are like, right now, you probably can't imagine how you would ever get to a place where you would need medical attention, but burnout can really get that bad. And especially you start talking about industries where there's a lot of innovation, things are happening very quickly. And when business owners are asking for growth, you are asking for more stress. And so what burnout is when stress is not successfully managed. Like stress is a part of life, but to continue to live with unmanaged stress means that it's going to impact your health eventually. And so my thing is to try to prevent people from getting there before it's a crisis level, because it's going to be more expensive and you might have to exit your business. And in some people's cases,
you might have to exit your life.
In some people's cases, they exit the world, because when you start getting you're getting headaches, you're getting like weird diagnosis, you can't figure out why you're sick. I've known people, the reason why they stopped is because they got cancer. And so it's serious. It is critical to take care of yourself. I'm so passionate about this is because people are often like, oh, I got to make money. I got to make money. Well, the most important thing that they have is actually their time. And if you're raising
most valuable
children,
resource.
if you're raising children, if you want to be spending time with your parents or whomever, somebody that you love, and you're constantly working and not taking good care of yourself, or when you're with them, you're like, or you're mistreating them because you're so stressed. So those are all signs that you are not successfully managing stress. And that's why I said the self-awareness piece is to say like, oh, I'm stressed and I'm not doing a very good job. Like, I don't like the way that I'm showing up in this world. And being real honest.
That first step's honesty with thyself. Yes, yes, yes. Love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you, Kayla, for joining us. One quick last question. I know you have a wellness tour that you're bringing around the world. Can you share more about that wellness tour and what that's about?
Yeah, so in January 2020, I launched a wellness tour, and so I started actually in New Jersey. And so the purpose behind that was to create like these small communities of people coming together, talking about wellness, doing arts integration. And we know what happened in 2020, and so that was put on hold. And so now what I am doing is reviving a wellness tour this year. And so I'm looking for businesses in different cities across the United States and the world that want to sponsor a wellness event, a creative wellness event for their community members. So if people are interested, they should reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, because I see it like people that desire to be in community, face to face, and really experience the power of rest and play.
Love it. So Kayla Maran Lee, check her out on LinkedIn or Instagram. And what's your Instagram?
Beautiful Soapbox. That's the name of my business.
Beautiful Soapbox. So check out Kayla Maran Lee on LinkedIn or Instagram at Beautiful Soapbox for more details on the tour and the dates and how you can find Kayla in a city near you. Yes, love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you, Kayla, for joining us here on this episode. Entrepreneurship is a Marathon. For us listeners and viewers, if you didn't already tell, the show is not only about a story, but it's also about lessons and action items to keep you moving forward in your journey to grow your business without burnout, overwhelm, or sleep deprivation during this marathon of entrepreneurship. Okay. We equip and empower you through education. We want to thank our guest, Kayla Maran Lee, for joining us here today to answer that question. I'm burned out. How do I rest? Yes. And we have more guest experts coming to join us on the show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, Facebook, or on YouTube. Or you can listen to us on your favorite podcast channel and give us a rating or review. Okay, folks? But as always, remember, entrepreneurship is a marathon. But it's a marathon you don't have to run alone. Till next time, toodaloo!
Thanks for joining us this week on Entrepreneurship is a Marathon. If you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or Spotify, or if you'd simply tell a friend about this episode. And if you're looking for more tips on reviving your business, make sure to visit our website, vzamy.com. That's vzamy.com. To register for our upcoming business growth workshop on staff management, financial management, and time management. It's your time to revive, grow, and scale. Visit vzamy.com. That's V for Vanessa, Z for zebra, A for animal, M as in money, Y as in yes.com. Visit